threat of the Blackfyres never truly went away, even after their defeats in 3 separate Blackfyre Rebellions and an attempt by House Peak to instigate a 4th. Additionally, the murder of Aenys Blackfyre at the Great Council of 233 AC only added more fuel to the fire and soured relations between the two houses further. But as long as the blood of Daemon I Blackfyre still lingered across the narrow sea in the Free Cities, there would be those to challenge the Targaryen rule of Westeros and bring blood and fire to the Seven Kingdoms, especially with the undying support of Aegor Rivers, Bittersteel, and his company of sellswords, the Golden Company, who had effectively made it his life's work to place a Blackfyre king on the Iron Throne, even after the death of his half-brother, Daemon I Blackfyre, during the first Blackfyre Rebellion at the Battle of the Red Grass Field. In fact, we cannot underestimate the influence and power Bittersteel had within the House of the Black Dragon. It was his lack of support of Daemon II Blackfyre and his dragon dreams, and his refusal to give him Blackfyre, the Sword of Kings, that surely influenced the failure of the Second Blackfyre Rebellion at the White Walls wedding tourney when it was all but in its infancy. Even after the murder of Aenys Blackfyre, the bloodline of Daemon I was still strong, with sons and daughters still living in Essos, and even grandchildren by this point in time. Thus, as long as Blackfyre blood remained, Bittersteel would carry on the fight in Daemon's name. And that's exactly what happened in the year 236 AC, when once again the Black Dragon returned to Westeros, with Daemon III Blackfyre at its head, the grandson of Daemon I, and the son of Aegon Blackfyre. Daemon III Blackfyre, with the support of Aegor Rivers, set his sights on the Iron Throne. It was this very same year of 236 AC that a bitter and harsh 6-year winter had finally begun to draw to a close, with the Seven Kingdoms in a sorry state, with hunger across the realm and starvation and death sweeping the north. While King Aegon V had done all he could and his best to help his people, there was still plenty of unrest across the realm, made worse by the fact the recovery from such a harsh winter would be slow and costly. While the Seven Kingdoms was recovering and weak, in no condition to fight a war, especially with King Aegon V distracted with the rebuilding of his realm, made 236 AC the perfect time for House Blackfyre to strike, and that they did, setting sail from the Free Cities, crossing the narrow sea, and landing their invasion force on Massey's Hook in the Crown Lands, and with that began the 4th Blackfyre Rebellion. The self-styled King Daemon III Blackfyre had the support of Bittersteel, which was vitally important in the eyes of many of the Blackfyre supporters in Westeros, and should have been a sign of the strength of Daemon. While we know that Aegor Rivers did possess Blackfyre, the Sword of Kings, at this time, we do not know if he gave it to Daemon III to wield, but what we do know is that Aegor came with the full strength of the Golden Company, who would make up much of the Blackfyre initial strength upon their landing on Massey's Hook. Daemon III expected the supporters of House Blackfyre to rally to his cause like they had done before for his father and grandfather, especially as Westeros was weak and recovering from winter, seemingly making it prime for the taking. Daemon had even hoped to win over fresh support from previously loyal Targaryen houses, given the state of the Seven Kingdoms and some of the issues lords had with the rule of King Aegon V. However, much to Daemon III's surprise and disappointment, this wave of support he'd hoped for, and in truth had expected, never came, even among the previously loyal Blackfyre supporters, with only a handful of lords answering his call. But even so, with the strength of the Golden Company, it was believed that with some quick and early victories, it would see supporters rallying to the banner of the Black Dragon once again, catching Daemon and Aegor off guard before any meaningful progress in this invasion could be made. King Aegon V picked up his sword and donned his armour, and rode out personally to meet the Blackfyre invaders, with his 3 sons, Duncan, Jaehaerys and Daeron by his side. It was a show of force by the Iron Throne that Daemon never foresaw happening. Aegon had not just sent one of his sons to lead an army, but all 3, with the king himself leading the charge. Doing so would do much to turn many lords, who had previously doubted him, to respect their king once more. This fast action by King Aegon meant that Daemon's invasion was mostly limited to Massey's Hook and into parts of the Stormlands, specifically into the Kingswood, around the Wendwater River. Unlike the first 3 Blackfyre rebellions, we have very few accounts of the 4th from a Blackfyre point of view, given the lack of support from Westerosi houses Daemon received. Thus we cannot say what Daemon and Aegor's tactics were, and what their wider plan was. But men of a military mind have pointed out that moving into the dense Kingswood would have provided cover for the Blackfyre host and made a pitched battle harder to instigate. With the smaller numbers of Blackfyre men, they would in theory be able to move quicker than the Targaryen host pursuing them. Thus, some have speculated Daemon may have been attempting to move quickly through the woods and break out its southern edge, giving him time and distance between himself and King Aegon's forces. But in the end, these what-ifs would remain just that, what if, because Daemon III Blackfyre never left the Kingswood. The 4th Blackfyre Rebellion only had one true battle, in the Battle of the Wendwater Bridge, where the Blackfyres suffered a shattering defeat that ended their rebellion. Daemon III Blackfyre was slain by the legendary kingsguard knight Sir Duncan the Tall, the very hedge knight for whom King Aegon V had squired for as a child during his unconventional upbringing. Of the notable deaths of the loyal houses to House Targaryen was Sir Tywin Lannister, the second son and the heir of Lord Gerald Lannister, making his younger brother Tytos Lannister, the father of the infamous Tywin Lannister, the new heir to Casterly Rock. Once again, Aegor Rivers, Bittersteel, had managed to elude capture like he had done several times before, and escaped once again. He eventually emerged a few years later in the disputed lands, fighting with his Golden Company in a meaningless, petty skirmish between the free cities of Tyrosh and Myr. Sir Aegor Rivers, the infamous and legendary Bittersteel, was 69 years of age when he died, and it is said he died how he had lived, with a sword in his hand and defiance upon his lips. Yet his legacy would live on in the Golden Company and the Blackfyre line he had served and protected near his whole life. The death of Aegor Rivers would mark the end of an era for House Blackfyre, with Aegor's support, advice and courage irreplaceable. There are even some who would argue that with Bittersteel dead, any real fire left in the Blackfyre cause faded, symbolised by the fact that with Aegor's death, the legendary sword Blackfyre, the sword of kings, the sword of Aegon the Conqueror, and of House Targaryen and House Blackfyre for generations, was lost from the pages of history. As long as the blood of Daemon Blackfyre lingered in Essos, the threat of House Blackfyre would remain to one day again spill blood and fire.